How did your great-grandmother keep food fresh without a fridge? And how did ancient civilizations store meat through blazing summers or keep vegetables crisp through brutal winters long before electricity? The answers might surprise you. Our ancestors didn't just get by, they developed preservation methods so clever and effective that many still produce some of the world's most prized delicacies today. In this episode of Stellar Eureka, we're revealing 10 ancient techniques that are simple, rewarding, and still work just as well now as they did centuries ago. Some take just minutes, others are fun weekend projects, but all can transform ordinary food into something richer, tastier, and longer lasting than you'd expect. Ready to unlock the secrets of food that stands the test of time? Let's dive into the ingenious world of ancient preservation. Here's something that will blow your mind. With nothing but salt and time, you can turn raw meat into shelf-stable protein that lasts over 2 years without any refrigeration. That's not preservation, that's transformation into something better. Those $50 per pound prosciutto and jamon iberico hanging in fancy restaurants? They started as raw pork legs covered in salt by techniques unchanged for centuries. The salt doesn't just preserve, it concentrates flavors, breaks down proteins, and creates textures impossible to achieve any other way. The process seems almost magical. Salt draws out moisture, while beneficial mold forms a protective casing. What emerges months later isn't just preserved meat. It's a completely different food that gourmets pay fortunes for. Italian families still hang whole legs in their cellars, creating multi-generational delicacies. The best part? You can start with simple salt-cured egg yolks or bacon. Master the basics, and you're preserving meat indefinitely while creating gourmet ingredients that would cost hundreds at specialty stores. Ancient technique, modern luxury. Salt works through dehydration, but what if you could preserve food by adding moisture and making it healthier in the process? What if I told you there's a preservation method that not only keeps food safe indefinitely, but actually makes it more nutritious while it sits on your shelf? Fermentation turns fresh vegetables into probiotic powerhouses that improve with age. Sauerkraut from World War I is still edible today. Korean families pass down kimchi recipes that create self-preserving ecosystems in simple jars. The magic happens when beneficial bacteria take over, creating an environment so acidic and competitive that harmful organisms can't survive. But here's the game changer. Fermented foods become more nutritious over time. Cabbage becomes vitamin C-rich sauerkraut. Plain cucumbers transform into probiotic pickles packed with beneficial bacteria your gut craves. The fermentation process breaks down compounds, making nutrients more bioavailable than fresh produce. This isn't just preservation, it's upgrading food. Traditional cultures understood this, creating fermented versions of everything from fish sauce to cheese. They weren't just storing food, they were enhancing it. Meanwhile, we're buying expensive probiotic supplements while throwing away perfectly good vegetables. But what if you could add flavor while preserving? That's where smoke enters the picture. Forget everything you know about smoking food for flavor. Real smoke preservation creates natural chemicals so powerful they stop bacterial growth completely while adding taste that no modern technique can replicate. Cold smoking, keeping temperatures below 90 degrees Fahrenheit for days or weeks, transforms fish into shelf-stable protein that explorers carried on year-long expeditions. Native American tribes created salmon jerky through cold smoking that lasted entire winters without any other preservation. The smoke doesn't just add flavor. Burning hardwoods creates formaldehyde, phenols, and other compounds that penetrate deep into food, creating antimicrobial barriers. It's like nature's own food chemistry lab, producing preservatives that pharmaceutical companies now try to synthesize. Hot smoking cooks while preserving, but cold smoking performs pure preservation magic. Scottish salmon, German speck, and countless traditional delicacies exist because smoke alone can make fresh food last months. You're not just cooking, you're engineering food chemistry that's been perfected over millennia. Underground lies the world's most efficient refrigeration system, one that costs nothing to run, maintains perfect temperature year-round, and can store food for 8 months without any technology whatsoever. Root cellars use the Earth's natural insulation to maintain 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures regardless of outside weather. Dig down just 8 feet and you've created consistent conditions that keep potatoes fresh until next harvest, apples crisp through winter, and carrots sweet for half a year. The genius is in the physics. Earth temperature below the frost line stays constant. Add proper ventilation, and you've engineered humidity control that prevents both dehydration and rot. Pioneer families fend themselves through harsh winters entirely from root cellar storage. Modern homesteaders are rediscovering this ancient technology, building root cellars that store hundreds of pounds of produce using nothing but earth, stone, and wooden shelves. It's off-grid food security that works when the power grid fails. Your ancestors never worried about freezer failures because they never needed freezers. Before astronauts ate freeze-dried ice cream, Native Americans were creating lightweight, nutrition-concentrated food that lasted years using nothing but sun and wind. Dehydration isn't just removing water, it's concentrating life into portable form. Pemmican, the original energy bar, combined dried meat, fat, and berries into compact blocks that fueled cross-continental journeys. Lewis and Clark's expedition relied on pemmican for survival during months when fresh food was impossible. 1 pound of pemmican equaled several pounds of fresh food. The principle is elegant. Bacteria need moisture to survive. Remove water, and food becomes shelf-stable indefinitely. Sun-dried tomatoes, beef jerky, fruit leather, these aren't just snacks. They're examples of preservation that concentrates flavors while creating foods impossible to make any other way. Solar dehydration still works perfectly. Simple racks in sunny locations can preserve entire harvests without electricity. Traditional jerky makers in South America create charcuterie that keeps for years in humid climates. It's ancient technology that modern backpackers and survivalists have rediscovered for good reason. Here's a preservation secret that turns fat from cooking waste into an oxygen-proof storage system that keeps meat tender and flavorful for over a year. French confit isn't just cooking, it's edible engineering. Duck confit works through simple physics. Meat cooked slowly in its own fat, then stored completely submerged, creates an anaerobic environment where spoilage bacteria can't survive. The fat forms a perfect seal while infusing flavors that get better with time. This technique preserved meat before refrigeration existed. French peasants would cook entire ducks, geese, or pork in fat, then store them in cool cellars for months. The fat wasn't wasted. It became cooking medium for vegetables and bread, while the meat stayed perfectly preserved underneath. Rillettes, carnitas, and countless traditional preparations use this principle. You're not just cooking meat, you're creating a preservation system where the storage medium enhances flavor. Modern restaurants charge premium prices for confit dishes that were originally poverty cuisine designed to make food last through hard times. Fat creates amazing preservation, but there's another liquid that's been preserving food for thousands of years. Acetic acid doesn't just make things sour, it creates an environment so hostile to bacteria that food can sit safely on shelves for years while developing complex flavors that improve with age. Traditional pickling transforms vegetables into shelf-stable foods that last indefinitely, but vinegar preservation goes beyond cucumbers. Pickled eggs, fish, even meat can be preserved in acid solutions that prevent all spoilage while creating flavors impossible to achieve fresh. The chemistry is straightforward. Vinegar lowers pH below levels where harmful bacteria survive. But the art lies in balancing acids, salts, and spices to create environments where food not only survives but improves. Traditional pickle makers aged their creations for years, developing flavor complexity that modern quick pickles can't match. Korean families preserve everything from garlic to seafood in vinegar solutions. European traditions include pickled herring that fed sailors on month-long voyages. You're not just preserving food, you're transforming it into something that gets better with time while never needing refrigeration. Honey is the only food that never spoils, and it can preserve other foods with the same immortality. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey that's still perfectly edible, revealing preservation powers that modern science struggles to replicate. Honey's antimicrobial properties come from low water content, acidic pH, and natural hydrogen peroxide production. These create an environment where bacteria simply cannot survive. Ancient Egyptians preserved meat in honey for months, creating concentrated nutrition that lasted through desert journeys. But honey preservation isn't just historical curiosity. Honey-preserved fruits maintain fresh taste and texture for years. Traditional preparations include honey-cured hams and fruits that become concentrated delicacies. The honey doesn't just preserve, it enhances, creating flavors that fresh ingredients can't achieve. Modern preppers are rediscovering honey preservation for good reason. It requires no equipment, no special conditions, and creates foods that improve with time. You're using the same preservation method that kept Pharaoh's burial foods fresh for millennia while creating gourmet ingredients that cost fortunes at specialty stores. Wood ash isn't waste. It's an alkaline preservation medium that transforms eggs into delicacies and vegetables into shelf-stable foods through chemistry that seems like ancient alchemy. Century eggs, preserved in alkaline clay made from wood ash, lime, and salt, transform ordinary eggs into complex flavored delicacies prized in Chinese cuisine. The alkaline environment prevents spoilage while breaking down proteins into entirely new textures and tastes. Traditional Scandinavian lutefisk uses lye from wood ash to preserve fish through winter months. Native Americans used ash water to preserve corn, creating hominy that's stored for years. The high pH creates conditions where harmful bacteria cannot survive, while beneficial chemical changes enhance nutrition. Ash preservation works through simple chemistry. Wood ash creates potassium hydroxide when mixed with water, producing alkaline solutions that preserve while transforming. You're not just storing food, you're using chemistry that turns waste ash into preservation medium while creating foods that don't exist in nature. Before electric refrigeration, humans harvested winter's natural refrigeration and stored it through summer heat using insulation techniques so effective that ice lasted year-round in the hottest climates. Commercial ice houses cut winter ice from frozen lakes and rivers, then stored it in insulated buildings using sawdust, straw, and careful air circulation. Properly stored, ice could last through entire summers, providing refrigeration when outside temperatures reached 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The physics seems impossible, but traditional ice storage achieved 90% retention rates through summer. Thick walls, multiple insulation layers, and controlled drainage created conditions where winter ice provided year-round cooling. Wealthy families built personal ice houses that supplied fresh food and cold drinks through the hottest months. Traditional techniques included underground ice caves in northern climates and above-ground ice houses in temperate regions. Community ice cutting was an annual tradition that provided months of refrigeration using only natural winter freezing and clever insulation. You were harvesting next summer's refrigeration during winter's abundance. From salt-cured meats to honey that never spoils, these ancient methods prove our ancestors knew how to outsmart time, and they did it without electricity or preservatives. While modern life relies on freezers and expiration dates, traditional techniques offered security that lasted for years. And in many cases, they didn't just preserve food, they made it better, more flavorful, more nutritious, more resilient. Which of these methods surprised you most? Have you tried any of them? Or are there others we should cover next? If this inspired you to look at food storage in a whole new way, hit like, subscribe, and share with someone who'd love to learn the old ways made new again. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.